On April 20th, 2025, El Caliente Dome at Santiaguito fired lava bombs at tourists who had climbed into a strictly forbidden zone. Multiple hikers fell while sprinting downslope. The footage went viral within hours, and the dome has been erupting without pause for 103 years. Santiaguito has been erupting continuously since 1922. That is 103 years without stopping. Not Vesuvius, not Etna, not Stromboli. A lava dome in Guatemala that has never gone quiet. It sits at the base of Santa Maria, a massive stratovolcano that blew apart in 1902. Santa Maria is dormant. Santiaguito is not. The complex has 4 domes. Only one is active. El Caliente, the youngest, the hottest, the only vent that matters. And on April 20th, it was firing 2 to 4 explosions per hour. INCIVU MIC classified them as weak to moderate. That classification is what tourists saw online before they climbed. Weak to moderate does not sound deadly, but here is the detail that tells the real story. Weak to moderate refers to the energy release at the vent, not the lethality of the projectiles, not the speed, not the range. El Caliente has killed before, and on April 20th, it was reloading every 15 to 30 minutes. Ballistic ejection is what happens when pressurized magma fragments are violently expelled from a vent and follow a parabolic trajectory under gravity alone. No pyroclastic flow, no ash cloud, just solid rock traveling faster than any human can run. Each explosion at El Caliente generates projectiles that reach altitudes of up to 1,500 meters. They fall in a radius that extends hundreds of meters from the crater rim. The impact force is sufficient to kill on contact or cause permanent traumatic injury. Skull fractures, crushed ribs, severed limbs. This is not hypothetical. This is the mechanism that was firing 4 times per hour while tourists were on the slope. And this is what they were running from when the cameras started rolling. October 24th, 1902. Santa Maria, Guatemala. One of the largest volcanic eruptions of the 20th century began without warning. The explosion ejected 8.5 cubic kilometers of material into the atmosphere. Ash fell as far as San Francisco. The eruption column reached 28 kilometers into the stratosphere. 6,000 people were killed in the initial blast and the pyroclastic flows that followed. The eruption tore a massive crater into the southwestern flank of Santa Maria. That crater became a wound that never healed. In 1922, 20 years after the catastrophe, a new lava dome began to emerge from the base of the 1902 scar. Santiaguito, the dome that is still erupting today. For 103 years, Santiaguito has been continuously active, constantly building, constantly collapsing, constantly ejecting material from the exact location where Santa Maria tore itself apart in 1902. The dome complex now consists of 4 distinct vents: El Caliente, La Mitad, El Monje, El Brujo. El Caliente is the most active. El Caliente is the one that fired on April 20th, 2025. Here is what matters. The 1902 blast scar never closed. It is still open. It is still venting. And the dome that is filling that wound is one of the most persistently dangerous volcanic structures in the Western Hemisphere. The tourists who climbed Santiaguito on April 20th were not hiking a dormant peak. They were standing inside the active throat of a volcano that has been erupting without in eruption for over a century. But here is the detail no one is talking about. INSIVUMI, Guatemala's National Institute of Seismology, Volcanology, Meteorology, and Hydrology, logged 2 to 4 explosions per hour at El Caliente Dome in the days leading up to April 20th, 2025. Not occasional puffs, not minor venting, explosions. Ash columns reaching 1,500 meters above the crater rim. Confirmed, documented, published. The April activity bulletin was issued before the hikers ever reached the slope. INSIVUMI recorded elevated seismic tremor, increased gas emissions, ballistic ejections occurring at intervals measured in minutes, not hours. CONRED, Guatemala's disaster coordination agency, maintained an active exclusion zone around the summit. The zone was not advisory. It was enforceable. It was designed to keep people out of the kill radius of exactly the kind of eruption that occurred on April 20th. The group of tourists who were filmed fleeing the dome had no authorization to be there, no permit, no clearance, no escort from INSIVUMI or CONRED. They crossed the exclusion boundary and climbed into an active eruption zone during a documented period of heightened activity. The warnings existed. They were not hidden. They were not unclear. INSIVUMI publishes daily bulletins. CONRED updates exclusion maps in real time. The information was available in Spanish and English on public websites accessible to anyone planning a climb. The hikers ignored them, or never looked. And the dome did exactly what the bulletins said it would do. It exploded. Here is the impossibility. A volcano that erupts multiple times per hour, monitored by a national institute, surrounded by an enforced exclusion zone, still managed to have tourists on its active vent when it fired. Not because the science failed, because the warnings were crossed anyway. INSIVUMEH volcanologists have been documenting escalating activity at El Caliente Dome since early 2024. Their reports describe increasing explosion frequency, rising ash column heights, and expanding pyroclastic flow paths down the southern and southwestern flanks of the dome complex. The Smithsonian Institution's Global Volcanism Program lists Santiaguito among the most persistently active dome complexes on Earth. It is one of fewer than 20 volcanoes worldwide that has maintained continuous eruptive activity for more than a century. CONRED has stated publicly that individuals who violate exclusion zones around active volcanoes face both legal consequences and lethal volcanic hazard. Pyroclastic density currents, the superheated avalanches of gas and rock that flow from collapsing domes, can travel at speeds exceeding 700 kilometers per hour. No human can outrun them. No warning system can provide enough lead time once they begin. Dr. Gustavo Chigna, head of volcanology at INSIVUMI, has repeatedly emphasized in interviews with Guatemalan media that Santiaguito is not a recreational climb. It is an active scientific monitoring site. Access requires coordination with INSIVUMI. Unauthorized ascents are not just illegal, they are suicidal. The science was not hidden. It was published, it was updated daily, it was ignored. And on April 20th, 2025, the dome did not care whether the people on its flank had read the warnings or not. Here is what is not making headlines. The numbers when you stack them are staggering. 2 to 4 explosions per hour. That was the rate active during the tourist escape on April 20th, 2025. Not a projection, not a worst-case scenario. That was the operating condition while people were on the dome. 1,500 meters. Confirmed ash column height above the crater rim, measured by INSIVUMI seismic stations in real time. That column did not dissipate. It drifted southeast over populated farmland. 103 years. That is how long Santiaguito has been erupting without pause. Since 1922. 0 dormancy periods recorded. No cooling, no Shumian, Just continuous magma extrusion building that dome higher every single year. 6,000 people killed in the 1902 Santa Maria eruption that created Santiaguito in the first place. Most died from pyroclastic flows that descended the western flank in under 4 minutes. The valley below El Caliente Dome sits in the exact same drainage path. 700 kilometers per hour. Maximum travel speed of a pyroclastic density current once it detaches from the column and accelerates downslope. There is no outrunning that. There is no shelter that holds. You are in the path or you are not. 0. The number of licensed guides authorized by Conrad or INCIVUME H to lead climbs on El Caliente Dome. Not restricted, not regulated, prohibited. The area is a permanent exclusion zone. Those are not projections. Those are not models. Those are the operating conditions on April 20th, 2025. And every single one of those numbers was available before the first tourist stepped onto that trail. Picture it. April 20th, 2025. Mid-morning, El Caliente Dome, Santiaguito Volcanic Complex, Western Guatemala. A group of hikers is ascending the southeast flank. No helmets, no gas masks, no radio contact, no authorization from any agency. They are following an illegal trail carved by previous climbers who also ignored the exclusion zone. The dome is active. Sulfuric steam vents hiss from fractures in the rock. The ground is warm under their boots. Ash from earlier explosions coats the trail in fine gray powder that kicks up with every step. Then the explosion fires. Lava bombs arc overhead. Incandescent red streaks against a blue sky. The ash cloud erupts black and fills the air so fast there is no time to process what is happening. The sound is not a roar, it is a crack, sharp, like a cannon shot echoing across the valley. The hikers turn and run. Sulfuric heat chokes their lungs. Ash coats their skin, their hair, their eyes. The ground shakes underfoot. They cannot see the trail. They cannot see each other. They are running blind down a 40-degree slope with fresh lava bombs still landing behind them. Footage does not show the full danger. The models never do. Here are the questions. If 2 to 4 explosions per hour were logged by INCIVUME on April 20th, why was no patrol stationed on the dome approached to turn climbers back? If 0 licensed guides are authorized to lead ascents on El Caliente, who led this group to the crater rim, and are they facing charges? If pyroclastic flows travel at 700 kilometers per hour, and the 1902 Santa Maria eruption killed 6,000 people in the same drainage path, what evacuation plan exists for the valley communities below Santiaguito right now? The footage went viral. The enforcement record did not. Right now, as you listen to this, El Caliente is still firing,